Picture this. It's 2 a.m. on September 19th, 1983. Deep beneath the pine forests outside Chelyabinsk, a lone Soviet lieutenant named Stanislav Petrov stares at a wall of pulsing red lights. The computer insists 5 American Minuteman missiles are already in flight. Doctrine says he should turn 2 keys and unleash a massive retaliatory strike. Instead, Petrov hesitates, wipes the sweat from his palms, whispers that the warning must be a glitch, and does nothing. 33 minutes later, the screens go black again, proving him right and saving the planet. Most of us know the Petrov story. What almost no one knows is the hardware behind that false alarm. Cosmos 1382, an experimental early warning satellite launched 9 months earlier to plug a critical blind spot over the Arctic. Its infrared telescope was meant to spot the white-hot plume of an American booster. On that obscure September morning, Cosmos 1382 misread a reflection of autumn sun off High Cirrus above North Dakota as a nuclear fireball. The bogus data streamed earthward unchecked and came terrifyingly close to rewriting history.
Tonight we'll follow the forgotten life of that satellite, from the day it left Baikonur to the moment it nearly ended the world. Along the way, we'll uncover engineering shortcuts forced by political pressure, the quiet revolt of Soviet radar officers, and the single design flaw buried in a subcontractor's memo that turned a hunk of orbiting metal into an existential threat. Rewind to December 27th, 1982. Leonid Brezhnev was 6 weeks dead, and Yuri Andropov needed a show of strength before New Year's Day. NATO exercises near the Arctic had the Kremlin on edge, and Washington's new Star Wars rhetoric stoked fresh paranoia. To reassure the Politburo, Andropov ordered an immediate upgrade of Oko, the USSR's missile alert constellation. Engineers at the Lavochkin Bureau were already juggling 3 spacecraft. Now they had 92 days to design, build, and launch a new infrared platform. Corners were cut. Lavochkin's thermal team begged for gold foil sun shields. Procurement approved cheaper aluminized mylar. The optics group wanted a redundant baffle to block stray glints. Management cut it to save 12 kilograms. Systems engineer Valentina Kovalenko filed a memo warning that low-angle sunlight reflecting off high clouds could mimic a booster plume. Her supervisor thanked her and filed the memo in a desk drawer. February 7, 1983. A white and blue Proton K lifts off into a violet dawn, carrying Cosmos 1382 and the reputations of half the Soviet Defense Ministry. The satellite slides into its highly elliptical Molniya orbit, 40,000 kilometers above Siberia at apogee, plunging to 600 kilometers over the U.S. Great Plains at perigee. From that perch, it has a front row seat to America's missile fields. For 6 months, everything is nominal. Weekly status cables trumpet flawless sensor health. Yet in the Serpukhov 15 command bunker, junior analysts notice odd flickers, single pixel flashes that coincide with sunrise over Montana. They dutifully file reports. Headquarters replies that the spikes fall within sensor tolerances. The analysts tape black and yellow caution stripes over the console lights anyway. To appreciate how fragile the system was, you need to know Soviet launch protocol. Unlike the US, which required several independent confirmations, Moscow's doctrine relied heavily on satellites. If 2 separate orbiters showed launches and ground radar picked up matching tracks, commanders had minutes to respond. On September 19th, only Cosmos 1382 had a clear view. A companion satellite was in eclipse, and a key radar array near Murmansk was down for maintenance. The stage was set. At 0014 UTC, the satellite sees the first phantom flash. Software labels it probable launch. 4 more flashes follow, perfectly spaced for an ICBM salvo. Alarms cascade. Equipment designed to simplify decisions now pushes every officer in the room toward catastrophe. Stanislav Petrov wasn't even scheduled for that shift. He'd swapped duty to attend his wife's birthday. His skepticism of the new software made him the lone contrarian. As klaxons blared, he asked the question no algorithm could answer. Why would the Americans fire only 5 missiles? A real first strike would launch hundreds. His gut said, glitch. Petrov's log entry that night was 14 words long. Warning deemed false, no further action. It saved the Earth and bruised Soviet pride. Within a week, a classified inquiry called SFERA-2 traced the cause to sunlight entering the telescope 20 degrees off axis, the exact scenario Kovalenko had predicted. In an irony only bureaucracies deliver, she learned of the near apocalypse from a friend who saw excess overtime listed in payroll records. So what became of Cosmos 1382? Ground controllers patched its software, narrowed the detection arc, and quietly renamed it Cosmos 1382A in internal files, as though a letter could erase memory. The satellite limped on until 1987, when intense solar activity fried its power regulator. It still orbits today, a dark relic tumbling through vacuum every 12 hours, its sensors blind, its story sealed in archives that may never open. The lesson isn't ancient history. Today's warning networks, from missile shields to AI-driven trading bots, share the same Achilles heel: blind faith in a single stream of data. In 2019, a Norwegian research rocket triggered brief alerts in Moscow. In 2021, a civilian flight path was mistaken for a cruise missile during a NATO drill. Technology evolves. Human judgment remains the final firewall. The moral is not to fear machines, but to design them with room for doubt and staff them with people empowered to act on that doubt. Valentina Kovalenko's memo and Stanislav Petrov's hesitation were acts of intellectual humility, the courage to say maybe, while circuitry screamed definitely. So the next time your phone insists it knows the perfect route, or a headline claims an algorithm can predict your destiny, remember the obscure satellite that mistook sunrise for Armageddon, and the weary lieutenant who trusted his uneasy feeling over 1 million lines of code. Our future may depend on cultivating more moments exactly like that,